Hi, this is Jackie's Reading Room, and I'm your host, Jackie P. Have you turned some pages today? Divergent, The Hunger Games, Everything, Everything. They both die at the end. Do any of these titles ring a bell? Well, if you have a teenager or young adult in your life, you may have heard about or even seen these books lying around in your house. Or maybe you enjoy reading young adult fiction as an adult, just like me. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. I don't know if it's because I teach young people aged 17 to 19, or because I have daughters who are teenagers. My youngest just turned 12, or if it's just because I truly enjoy them. But yes, I admit it, I love reading novels destined for teens, tweens, young adults, and all that jazz. A few years ago, all my students were going crazy for this vampire series. You guessed it, Twilight. And I was curious to know more. So I went ahead and I read book one, and then I had to keep going. And so I ended up reading all four books and even the novella that is entitled The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner. It's like a little companion novel that takes place in the Twilight universe, if you may. And of course, I saw all the films, and I enjoyed them. I have to say, I was part of the vampire craze when it happened, and that was great. Listen, I found this article from Bustle, and they state that there are 11 reasons why reading young adult as an adult is awesome. So I wanted to share some of these with you today, not the 11th, although I will put the link of the page so you can actually go and read everything. But let me give you an overview of 5 of those 11 reasons why reading young adult as an adult is a pretty cool thing. So the first thing is escapism. So you are really, when you read young adult fiction, even if it takes place, like in modern times, you are really, and I quote, taken to an entirely different world. And I believe when we're adults, we have our our responsibilities, our real life. We have, bills to pay and laundry to take care of. So when you get into a young adult title, you just escape, and that I have to say that feels really good. Another reason is young love. Who doesn't like to read about young love? I quote, it says, more innocent, more compelling, and fresh. Adult love stories obviously have a whole different connotation. Obviously, there's sometimes children involved, and or a desire to have children or not. So with young love, it's just to kind of pure, and I love reading and watching about young love. Another reason is, and I quote, I like the drama, okay? And I thought that was funny. So the author of the article was saying that she doesn't like drama in her life, but in young adult fiction, it gets a little more intense because we're dealing with teens who obviously are more intense. Their hormones are raging, so it makes for compelling reading, I believe. Another reason is that young adult gets awesome movies, and it is true. If you go to your local library or local bookstore, you'll find a lot of these books. You'll say, "Huh, I saw that DVD. My God, I'm so old. That film on Netflix. I didn't know it was based on a book." So there you are. There you go. Lots of them get actually pretty good films too. And another reason is that you stay in touch with your younger self, and I think that is an actual very good reason. It's important, I believe, to stay young at heart. And clearly, reading young adult fiction can help you do that. I'd like to share some young adult titles that I enjoyed over the last, years. And if you are interested, I would encourage that you take a look, find out about them. I'm certain you can find them at your local library, your local bookstore. If you are a young adult yourself and you're in school, perhaps you could even check in your school library. And if they don't have these titles, why not suggest them? So the first one I'd like to talk to you about is this very, very beautiful novel that I read not too long ago called Last Night at the Telegraph Club. It was written by Melinda Lowe, and it came out early in 2021. And if you pick it up now, uh, there are so many stickers on the cover because it won so many prizes. One of them is the National Book Award, the Stonewall Book Award, etc., etc. And it takes place. The story takes place in 1954, San Francisco, and especially I would say in Chinatown, where one Chinese American girl falls in love with another white American girl. And I really, really enjoyed this book. And um, I really highly recommend it. I've actually recommended it to my stepdaughter and my daughter, who both want to read it. They also have a very big TBR pile, just like me. Another title I'd like to suggest is 5 Feet Apart, which came out in 2018 and was written by Rachel Lippincott. You may have seen the film or at least heard about the film. I really enjoyed both versions. I read the book first and watched the film after, which I usually do. I did talk about right from page to screen in one of the episodes. You can check that out. 5 Feet Apart was also decorated Goodreads Choice winner for Best Young and Best Young Adult Fiction of 2019. And 5 Feet Apart is the story of two teenagers who fall in love, but they cannot touch because they have, I believe it is cystic fibrosis, but you know what? I couldn't verify that. But it has to do with their lungs. And so if they come too close, they could jeopardize their health. And so, like we said before, right? You know, intense drama uh, and very, very cute film, very well done, I thought, as well. And I'd like to tell you about a classic. I am going to talk about classics very soon in another episode, but I had to mention this one, The Giver by Lois Lowry, which came out in 1993. We could argue that this is possibly one of the um, uh, first real young adult titles that came out, back then. It has become now a classic. Many students have to read that in school. Actually, my daughter had to read it. I believe she read it in French, translated into French in her French course. And she went on to read the three other books that are part of the Giver Quartet. So you have The Giver, Messenger, Gathering Blue, and Sun. And The Giver was also rewarded with a Newbery Medal. And I was on the indigo.ca website, and The Giver is in the category of 100 best teen books of all time, which I could not agree more. If you haven't read it, it's a very small little book. I have it here, about not even 200 pages. And I really, really love this book. As a parent, reading it, and that's the thing too, when you're an adult, whether you're an aunt, a grandparent, a parent, maybe a step parent. I am also a step parent. I find that you have another angle. So it's actually very interesting to read young adult as an adult. For that reason, you can see it as an adult, say, oh yeah, okay, I can see why this would appeal to young people. And this takes place in I guess you could debate whether it's a utopian or a dystopian society. And Jonas, the young protagonist, he starts to question his perfect world, where every person is assigned a role. There's no pain, there's no fear. But at some point, when you start questioning, then things will change. So if you haven't read it, I would say put that on your TBR list, and why not think about that as a birthday or Christmas present. It's an excellent choice. Talking about TBR piles, well, I have, as you know, I always have lots of books to read. But in terms of young adult fiction, in the next little while, I would like to tackle at least these two. So, Shadow and Bone, I've been meaning to read that for a long while. So, this is fantasy. I love to read fantasy once in a while. It's like when we talked about escapism, this is really a book for that, because you would go into a different world. And my daughter has been telling me that I need to read They Both Die at the End, a recent novel that came out. I believe it is part of the book talk list. You could verify that, right, if you went there. But definitely, I'd like to see what the hype is all about. So there are lots to choose from. But if you have a library that you go to, go check the teenage section. Same thing in a bookstore, you would definitely find that. And as you're going to find one option there. So and that will enable you to turn some pages. So enjoy, take care, and I'll see you next time.